Bwana asifiwe. That's how we say praise the Lord in Kenya. That's Swahili. I grew up in Nairobi, Kenya. Actually, Jimmy was my roommate back in Kenya before I moved back to the US. And Richmond, Michelle, and Tony, they all went to Moody Theological Seminary where I also went. So I met some of them, and such powerful testimonies. And well, poverty can be a very generational thing. For me, it was my grandmother was very, very, very poor. She had 9 kids. She was divorced, and she didn't have any education. So she couldn't get any good job to provide to her kids. And then at the age of 14, my mom had me, and my grandmother kicked her out of the house because my mom was ashamed or brought shame to my grandmother's name. And that kind of started my journey also into poverty. And just think, a 14-year-old, no education, it's hard to provide for your family. And every day, I would wonder, is life ever gonna be different? Um, every day it was just uncertainty, wondering, are we gonna have food tonight? We got kicked out of our house so many times because we couldn't afford to pay rent. And that's the life day-to-day living for so many families that live in the slums of Nairobi. Most people don't have stable jobs to provide for their families. And in the midst of this, the kids are the most vulnerable. But I thank God, at the age of 7, a compassion pastor and a social worker visited our home, and they interviewed my mom, and they called me in, they looked at me, talked to me a little bit, and then after that my mom asked me to start going at the church. But she didn't know I used to go to that church because they had a feeding program before they even became a compassion program. So I was going there. And as a young boy, if you grow up without a lot of food, anywhere there is free food, Njenga would be there. I would always be there, I was trying to find anywhere there will be food so that I can be there. And so I thought compassion program would be another, a continuation of that feeding program. But I discovered the compassion program was more than that. It felt at the compassion program as a safe haven for kids. We could leave our surrounding and be at one place where we had, pastors and social workers that loved on us and cared about us. And our parents would be gone most of the day, and so we'd just be roaming in the streets. We didn't have, anybody to watch us. But at the compassion program, we got the care that we needed as young kids. Because of the compassion program, I started going to school at the age of 7. Yet I was supposed to start school maybe at the age of 5. But if you're making $3 and you have to pay $5 to go to school, it would take very long for you to be able to save enough to send your kids to school. And that was our case. My mom was never able to save enough to send us to school. But through my sponsors, I was able to start to go to school. I got a pair of new uniform. I got a pair of shoes. I got, everything that I needed to be able to have an education. But that didn't happen until 3 months when I joined the compassion program. One day, during one of the parades, the social worker was calling names. And that day, I was lucky for my name to be called out. Daniel Njenga Maina, you have a sponsor, and everybody will be like, yeah! We would rejoice when another child will get a sponsor. But before that, every time somebody else's name will be called, I'll be like, man, when is this gonna happen to me, But God, is so good. When I got my sponsors, they sent me a picture, Betty and Boyd from Oregon and their dog. They were in the woods. There was snow. That was my first time seeing snow and also seeing white people and with their dogs and with blue jeans. As American as it gets. Barry and Boyd sponsored me for 14 years. When they started sponsoring me, they didn't have any kids. I was like their firstborn. They would write to me and tell me how they love me and how they're praying for me. But there was one question they would always ask me that bothered me. How are you doing at school? I enjoyed going to school, but I was not the best student ever. But also I would hate to write to them and tell them, oh, I had a D or I had an E. So I was in this conflict. I was like, so I have to only work hard so that I can send them good grades. And through them writing letters, they made me start dreaming and thinking that I can be somebody. I can be more than my mom. I can be more than my dad. I can be more than the young people that had dropped to school or they didn't have the opportunity to go to school. And I started thinking of different careers like most of us do. Wanted to be doctors, wanted to be an engineer, wanted to be this. But I ended up wanting to be a teacher because of my social workers, the impact they had in my life. They were they never only got disappointed with me, though I disappointed them so much. I wasn't a good boy growing up. Luckily, I thank God compassion didn't give up on me. I was the guy stealing books at school. I was the guy making noises in the classroom. I was, the guy punching other kids. I did all those things, but somebody walked alongside me and believed in me and encouraged me. And I knew my sponsors were always praying for me. I thank God they didn't know that part of my story. But now they know because they are very good friends of mine. After 14 years, they sent me a letter with their address, and they're like, we want to continue, talking to you. We want to know what God is doing in your life. I was about to go to college, and we write back and forth. I created an email account. We'd email each other. Facebook came. We became Facebook friends. Until 5 years later, we met somewhere in Denver, and I was able to have this opportunity to say, thank you so much for investing in my life, for changing me, for changing my family. My dad is a pastor today. Um, my sister is married to a pastor. Like, our lives have been changed. I came to Moody a few years ago and got a master's in intercultural and urban ministry. Because I felt like so much had been given to me, and I wanted to get a degree that can help me give back to other people. I wanted to be a pastor, not because that was my first choice, but God called me, and I was like, God, I don't want to be a pastor. All the pastors I knew in Kenya, they were very, very, very poor. I was doing everything I could to get away from that. And then here God calls me to be a pastor. But God has opened different doors. I'm not currently pastoring. I'm involved in my local church in Phoenix, and we're talking about becoming an elder. But my passion is to mobilize young people here in the U.S. and across the world to go to the nations and to help people know about Jesus. And so every year we're sending almost 200 students across different parts in the world. We go to Honduras, we go to Nicaragua, and we go to China, and it's so powerful to see young people, passionate about Jesus, and they want to grow. It's so good to see young people like I was, and I'm now walking alongside other young people, like my social workers walked alongside me, and like my teachers walked alongside me, and I believe in them like somebody believed in me. 3 years ago, I got married, and on that special day, Betty and Boyd walked me down the stage, and we were, dancing to Uptown Funk and just having a good time, like, I'm like, hey, I'll teach you how to dance like an African, and we did our thing, and I look back, I'm like, I would have never thought that, this relationship could have come that far, from the age of 7 to today, where I'm a dad now, and to have my daughter Imara call Betty grandma, like, Betty came when we had Imara and stayed with us for a week and just loved on us. And God has done so much in my life. And I feel so honored to even do this and speak on behalf of so many kids in the world who who are waiting for somebody who can walk alongside them. And I know some of you are doing that, and from the deepest part of my heart, I want to thank you so much for believing in the most vulnerable children in this world and speaking to those families that there is hope. That's what happened to me. I know there is hope. We can make a difference, and you guys are already doing that. And if this is something you're wondering if, if, if it can cause any difference, it does. I used to be a young boy like this. Somebody saw my picture, and they're like, we want to change this young boy's life. God bless you so much. Thank you.